Hello and welcome to Catholic Current. We are here in Baltimore where the bishops have gathered in plenary assembly. Today was the first day of their public session. As is customary, the meeting began with a letter from the U.S. bishops to our Holy Father, remarks from the Apostolic Nuncio, and an address from the President of the USCCB.
Your Holiness, we join you in prayer for peace in our world. May the risen Lord protect all in harm's way and help us to bring about a lasting peace in Israel, Palestine, Myanmar, Ukraine, Sudan, and all other areas of the world torn by conflict and strife. Together we ask that the Sacred Heart of our Lord Jesus Christ pour out its love upon all in need and inspire us to journey together towards a just, solidary, and fraternal world.
Essentially, the Pope is saying to us, look deeper what synodality is all about. Look to the heart, your own heart, the heart of Christ, and the heart of the other person. From there, we can embark on a shared mission as a church.
We must insist on the dignity of the human person from womb to tomb, be unstinting in our commitment, as I said yesterday, to see Christ in those who are most in need, to defend and lift up the poor, to combat the evil of racism, and to encourage immigration reform, while we continue to care for those in need who cross our borders.
The bishops heard today from a guest speaker, Bishop Stepan Sus of the major archiepiscopal curia of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church. Now, the United States Catholic Church takes up a collection for the church in Central and Eastern Europe, and of course, that takes place on Ash Wednesday. And when the war started, it was the day after the invasion of Ukraine. How has that collection helped the people of Ukraine?
Any support, any help us very much in the first days and weeks of the war, because we had huge numbers of refugees, those who left Ukraine and those who are inside of Ukraine, who moved from east or west, or from the most hot front line to the west of Ukraine. So we could create the shelters for such people by the monasteries and seminaries, and also we help them by everything, because people lost everything: houses, health, some were faced amputation. Today we had approximately 60,000 Ukrainians who had amputation.
Bishop Roy Campbell shared with the bishops the work of the National Black Catholic Congress. What do you say to Black Catholic youth? What is your message to them?
That do not be afraid of the gifts you give us. You've been given. Do not be afraid to live your faith, because you will have an effect on everybody that you meet, your friends, strangers, and everything else. And they will see that your faith is genuine from the heart by the way you treat them. And that means starting at home, brothers and sisters sometimes, but to do not be ashamed of or afraid of living your faith. And that's why we have youth groups to do that and to go places and to do different things, so that they can see the value of their faith and see the value of their own lives and their own gifts. One
theme that recurred throughout the meeting was the Synodal Church.
So we had begun to do the synodal process in my archdiocese, the Archdiocese of Baltimore, just as happened in all other dioceses. And I sort of felt as though we were well down the synodal path. However, when I got to the Synod of Bishops, and we did this for an entire month, and we did it in a very intensive way, I perhaps realized I didn't grasp it perhaps as well as I thought I had, that it was a very thoroughgoing experience of what synodality is. As I remarked to the bishops, it is something that is for the long haul. It's a way of life for the church. It requires persistence, perseverance, patience, and a real spirituality. And if nothing else, the month-long process of doing this demonstrated that for me experientially.
There was time for us to kind of like be honest with each other, but also a deep sense of respect. And just the ability, which impacts me to this day, of hearing the witness of Catholics around the world, often in places where there are conditions which you can hardly imagine. War-torn places of the world, but also places where the Catholics are a very small number in comparison to the larger community, and the struggle to kind of maintain the ecclesial life that we depend upon, the sacraments and so forth. So I think all of that kind of strengthened the sort of the consensus that came through as we move forward, and so the spirituality of it, I think, was more deeply ingrained.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of Catholic Heart. We'll be back again tomorrow with the second and final day of the Bishop's public meeting here in Baltimore. We'll see you then.